Hello my friends, how are you all doing today? You are watching TTBurger Game Reviews here on YouTube and I am your host Tony. We're back with more game reviews here, continuing with my Final Fantasy franchise review here. Episode 302 of that, episode 302 part 8 of 10 parts, getting closer and closer to the finale here. We have a lot to talk about here. We talk about another direct sequel of the franchise here in the first trilogy of Final Fantasy games. Before we get started though, let's show you what happened last time. I took a look at Final Fantasy XIII for the PlayStation 3 and gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It was a great game, but had problems like linearity, no outdoor environments, and some of the acting was not the best, and no Japanese audio option. But it was still a better game than Final Fantasy XII any day. I definitely recommend you all checking out if you like Final Fantasy. This game will not disappoint you, at least in my opinion. Some people didn't like it, but I liked it. But now we're going to zoom ahead to the year 2011. Around the time when I was still in college, actually. Actually, I had graduated college back then. It was just after I graduated college, and we got a direct sequel to Final Fantasy XIII. This is Final Fantasy XIII-2, starring Lightning's younger sister, Serah Farron. So let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Final Fantasy XIII-2 was released on December 15, 2011 for both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, with a Windows version following in the year 2014. Our review focuses on the PlayStation 3 version. I recall being a mix of excited and concerned when Final Fantasy XIII-2 was announced. Excited because it was a direct sequel to Final Fantasy XIII, expanding on that universe. However, I wasn't aware that at the time it would be a part of a trilogy. Sequels typically bring improvements, and Final Fantasy XIII-2 had big shoes to fill. As I mentioned before, Final Fantasy XIII was a great game, even better than Final Fantasy XII, with improvements to its battle system, characters, and story. However, it had its flaws: a very linear design, limited outdoor environments, some annoying characters, and inconsistent gameplay difficulty. The linearity in particular was a turnoff for many fans, and while I still enjoyed the game, I wasn't its biggest proponent. With Final Fantasy XIII-2, the developers addressed many of these criticisms. The game reintroduces open-world exploration and outdoor environments. They also switched from an over-the-shoulder camera to a more traditional behind-the-back third-person perspective. Even the battle system saw further enhancements. This time you play as Serah Farron, Lightning's younger sister, who is generally considered a more likable protagonist. So does Final Fantasy XIII-2 live up to the promise of an improved sequel, or does it become a forgotten title? The answer is clear. It's not only an improved sequel, but a fantastic game, standing as one of the best 3D Final Fantasy games ever created. While it does have a few issues we'll discuss, overall, it's a stellar experience. For instance, the cinematic battles with quick time events feel unnecessary in a Final Fantasy game. Also, the sheer volume of side quests can become annoying. Many of you are probably wondering, is that part of Final Fantasy VIII? You'll have to play to find out, and continue listening to the review.
So that was 3 years ago.
For me,
Final Fantasy XIII-2 takes place 3 years after Final Fantasy XIII. Be warned, there will be some spoilers ahead. The main protagonist of the previous game, Lightning, has been erased from history. No one remembers her except Serah. Supporting characters like Snow and Zas went searching for Lightning but never returned. Their fates are unknown. Serah, however, firmly believes Lightning is still alive.
Serah, I can take you there. We can find Lightning together. I know she wants to see you.
What truly happened to Lightning is revealed. She was pulled into Valhalla, a war between life and death by a mysterious energy called Chaos. Lightning and others have been turned into crystals through crystal stasis. The goddess Etro, grateful for them saving Cocoon, reached into the mortal realm and freed Lightning and her friends. To prevent further chaos, Etro closed the gates between realms, which led her to falling into a deep sleep and weakening. Amidst these events, Lightning became Etro's knight, tasked with protecting her from Caius Ballard, a man who seeks to kill Etro and erase the timeline. Caius made Etro immortal by giving her the Heart of Chaos.
My teacher was strict. Lightning must have rubbed off on me.
Trapped in an endless battle with Caius, Lightning realizes she needs help. This is where Noel Crace enters. Chosen by Etro as a time traveler, Noel is sent by Lightning on a mission to bring Serah to Valhalla to defeat Caius and fix the timeline. Noel finds Serah living a normal life in New Boldum, working as a teacher by the shore. Until their meeting, Serah can see visions of the future and uses time gates to traverse different timelines. The story heavily incorporates time travel. The element can be divisive. Some will love it, others will hate it. Personally, I find the story great, one of the best in the Final Fantasy franchise. However, I do have a couple complaints. While Serah is a great protagonist, the same cannot be said for Noel. Something about him, like his apparent jealousy and other character traits, rubs me the wrong way. He almost seems like a villain, even though he isn't. Caius can also be viewed somewhat of a comical antagonist at times due to his mannerisms. Additionally, the time travel aspect can feel a bit generic sometimes. Despite these minor issues though, the story is still great, an improvement over the previous installment, and it ends on a compelling cliffhanger. Final Fantasy XIII-2 boasts excellent presentation, largely on par with Final Fantasy XIII. The graphics fully utilize the PlayStation 3's hardware capabilities, much like its predecessor. Being on Blu-ray, the PlayStation 3 version generally looks better than the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 version is on a single disc this time, and unfortunately, it runs poorly, exhibiting the same issues as the previous game on that console. The PlayStation 3 version, for the most part, looks fantastic. Character models, especially Serah and Lightning, are superb and animate better than the previous game. Even NPCs look great. Enemy models offer a great variety than before. One of the most significant improvements is in the environments. Gone are the linear, straightforward areas devoid of secrets and outdoor exploration. This time, the game returns to the series' roots, offering larger worlds to explore with secrets to uncover. Cutscenes are numerous and look fantastic. The frame rate is generally smooth with only minor slowdowns that aren't significant enough to complain about. Both versions this time run at 720p, which is a plus for Xbox 360 owners, but mentioned earlier, the version still struggles with performance issues.
And how can I take you to Lightning without those handy-dandy portals?
Right.
The sound in Final Fantasy XIII-2 is once again a strong point. Voice acting is great, even if some of the actors don't deliver their absolute best. They still put in solid effort. Laura Bailey returns as Serah Farron and is a standout voice actress. Troy Baker, Georgia Van Kohlenberg, and Ali Hillis also return to an excellent job. Kim Magess also makes an appearance as Alyssa Zadel, a major supporting character throughout the game. The voice acting is an improvement over the last game with greater abundance of voice dialogue, even from NPCs. In the past, only key characters had voices, while others regulated to text. Now, almost every character you interact with has a voice, making conversations feel more fluid and realistic. However, a notable omission is the lack of Japanese audio once again. It's baffling why it wasn't included. It would have been a welcome addition even as DLC. The music undoubtedly is the highlight of the sound design. Many of the worlds you explore feature vocal tracks which are exceptionally soothing and calming. The music significantly enhances the tension and atmosphere of the environment. As for other sound effects, I have no strong opinion, leaving that for individual players to decide. Final Fantasy XIII-2 offers a well-packaged gameplay experience with numerous improvements, though it does have some lingering issues. New elements include live trigger battle scenes where you have dialogue options during certain conversations, allowing Serah to choose from 4 questions or answers using the face buttons. While a cool idea on paper, these choices don't significantly alter the story. If I can't decide, I just often press the triangle button to proceed. Then there are the cinematic QuickTime events, which I mentioned earlier. While not as egregious as in games that overuse them, their presence in a JRPG is still questionable. Credit is due for not overdoing them to the point of frustration, but they remain an odd inclusion.
Small area. That shouldn't be possible.
Okay, so you're saying this could be a paradox.
The battle system has been improved, retaining its core similarities to the previous game, but feeling simpler to grasp. The paradigm system is easy to understand, you don't have to switch paradigms as frequently as before, except for like boss battles. Obtaining Gil is also easier as you now receive it after each battle. The Crystarium level up system returns largely similar to the previous installment, so I can't really say much there. Navigating the worlds is much better thanks to the improved camera system, which is now a behind-the-back view instead of over-shoulder, making it simpler to use. You can also ride on chocoboles for a limited time, which is enjoyable especially when the music picks up. It's groovy. Much of the game involves finding artifacts and other objects. There are also numerous side quests, perhaps even too many, but they are less focused on tedious fetching quests than before. Your main objective aside from finding artifacts is to locate the time gates that transfer you to different timelines to stop Caius and find Lightning. However, there are some problems here. There are only 2 party members throughout the entire game, Serah and Noel, which is a first for the series. The difficulty balance is still inconsistent. While you can change the party leader, playing as Noel feels pointless as he's not very likable. I'd rather play as Serah. The game is also shorter, clocking in around 25 hours. While some might consider that long, other games in the franchise typically over 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, and the main story here is only 7 episodes long, including the prologue. There are also puzzles to solve, which are generally fine, but the crystal puzzles can be frustrating. These require you to draw a design by connecting lines and dots under a time limit, often leading to mistakes.
Just personal stuff.
Furthermore, fans who enjoy the characters from Final Fantasy XIII might be disappointed by the focus of new characters, though I personally didn't mind it. This is akin to what happened in Soul Calibur 5, where many veteran characters were absent. Despite these issues, Final Fantasy XIII-2 remains a fantastic game. In my opinion, it's the best next generation Final Fantasy game so far. It's better than Final Fantasy VIII? In my view, it's just as fantastic as Final Fantasy VIII, even with its flaws. Now before we even get started here, let's go to our TTBurger positives and negatives. For the TTBurger positives, Final Fantasy is back for the PlayStation 3 era, a direct sequel in the franchise once again. Serah Farron is very likable and improved protagonist. Open world environments are back, replacing linear worlds. Outdoor environments have returned. Excellent graphics, especially on the PlayStation 3. Superb voice acting with returning actors like Laura Bailey. Lots of voiced non-playable characters to interact with. Fantastic music, particularly the vocal tracks. Crystarium and Predator features return. Navigation is better due to behind-the-back camera system. A better game than its predecessor overall. Now for the TTBurger negatives, some new features aren't particularly great. Noel is unlikable, comes off as creepy. Only 2 party members throughout the entire game. Some players may be disappointed by the new characters. No Japanese audio once again. Short game, only 25 hours long. The Xbox 360 version once again has performance issues. Time travel elements can sometimes feel a bit generic. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about Final Fantasy XIII-2. It's a fantastic game that you should definitely be checked and not be overlooked. If you own Final Fantasy games and want more Final Fantasy action, I recommend Final Fantasy XIII-2 the best. So what's my score here for it? I give Final Fantasy XIII-2 a perfect 10 out of 10. It has its problems, but it's still a fantastic game. It's hard to say what's better, Final Fantasy VIII or Final Fantasy XIII-2. They're both really good games, so I recommend them both. But we're not done though. We have one more game in the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy, which is going to wrap up here. And take a look at part 9 for the next part. Take a look at Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII. This time we play as Lightning once again. So, how does this trilogy go out? Does it go out with a bang, or does it go out with a dud? Find out in the next part, which all I gotta say is Tony, peace out, have a day, see you on my review of Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII-2. Take care everybody.